hate the fact I'm such a good person. I haven't had my second cup of coffee yet, and already I'm having to do this video pretty early in the goddamn morning. So you know what? The Critical Darling, I do this for you. Ladies and gentlemen, today we talk about how to do a Castlevania X Mass Effect fanfiction.
I have several questions.
So, how would that be done? Well, thankfully enough, there's already one out there, which only has 1 or 2 chapters on it, I think. And sadly, that sucker has presumably been abandoned. So the question comes down to, how does one do that? How does one make one? How does one set that up? Well, instead of doing the whole Paragon second option or a Renegade, well, I had time to think about this. Because Critical Darling... Now context before we get into this. Why am I talking about this? Well, Critical Darling, in the Discord server I run that has multiverse authors, other authors, and what have you that are actually writing fics in Discord, meaning that no one's getting access to it unless you're an author and want to write your own, or want to write your own multiverse fanfiction, which no, you will not get access to until I know you're not going to spoil everything that's in there, goddammit. Instead, I'm going to talk about how one could do this. What could the plot setup be? What is the idea behind Castlevania being in the Mass Effect universe? And before anyone says anything, I actually own the 3 games, the original 360 release games, so yeah, that's literally what I do. So, how does this begin? Well, in the Mass Effect lore itself, the Mass Effect lore, there was actually a conflict that did have humanity split, meaning that the Systems Alliance did not come to be until after the conflict, or at least until after the discovery of the Promethean technology. Well, let's say Dracula, after, of course, much like in Castlepunk, which, of course, is his Critical Darling's Castlevania X Cyberpunk 2077 crossover. Instead, let's talk about the possibility of, basically the same thing. After the church tries to get them, they go to sleep. They wake up during the conflict, before the discovery of the Promethean ruins on Mars, wakes up. Dracula sees all the fighting and basically realizes that humanity needs to be united under his rule. If, basically, peace is to be reign, more or less. So, thanks to the new technology, and of course, biotics and all that good jazz, or I think this is prebiotics. Again, it's early in the morning, guys, and I haven't had a second cup of coffee. So, Dracula rules, more or less. He basically unites humanity under his banner. No longer is it the Systems Alliance, it is basically some form of kingdom, or empire, more or less. And that happens. Then they discover the mass relay. Because the fact that vampires literally are long-lived species and their brains essentially are organic computers, technology is much more advanced than whatever the hell Mass Effect has. Meaning that they have a form of FTL, faster than light, where they can actually jump from one point to another without the need of the mass relays. Well, they take the data from the mass relay and basically put it into their computers, and pop, skip, and a jump, they jump right where the first colony would be, or at least right where that world would be discovered during the first Contact War. Well, because some vampires don't take to the treatment very well of being able to more or less kind of, can go out in the sun and not be burned upon being touched by it, they more or less have to shade the worlds, or at least the worlds themselves have to be covered in a sort of light cloud, a la the Matrix, except, light still can come through, it's just not as bright. On the outside, these worlds look like they're covered in internal darkness. When in reality, there's not a lot of UV rays are coming through, which, again, with technology being the way it is, and the fact of, oh, hey, yeah, no, that's basically the reason why, vampires are able to be freaking burned to death, because the UV rays from the sun, or the radiation from the sun, basically affects their DNA, wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. And basically, that's what happens. So, what happens when the Turians do discover them? Well, the reason the Turians discover them is because they're sending out probes equipped with FTL, and the Turian patrol discovers it, and them seeing that the Mass Effect relay was not activated, They get curious as to this advanced civilization and why they have such an advanced form of FTL. They get curious, they come to the planet, they discover the planet, and instead of them thinking, oh hey, yeah, no, they didn't technically break any Citadel laws, they could go down there. Well, that's one way to do it. The other way is the author could still do the First Contact War, except in this case, as soon as the motherfuckers touch down on the planet, they take off more than they can chew. And the radio chatter we know and love could probably be the same thing as what we've always known.
I ordered to hold fire. Coming out of the goddamn wall! Look!
They could touch down, and the radio chatter is basically, oh yeah, this is a pretty dark, the darkness above, there's still light coming through. They keep going, they find a building, they go inside, start exploring a little bit, and next thing you know, there's gunfire.
Sorry. Talk to me. Pong. Talk to me. Hey, Pong!
Their chatter, and the fact of they're everywhere. They're coming out of the walls. They're coming out of the goddamn walls!
Where's the phone? Where's the phone? Sergeant, stop! Get the fuck out of here! Let's go, Marine!
And that's how the First Contact War happens. It's basically fucking Aliens, i.e. the sequel to Aliens 1. And more or less, they're getting their asses slaughtered, left and fucking right.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Dracula hears about this, thinking that some alien bastards have invaded his planet, gets pissed, goes on the fucking warpath, and it's basically the Human Covenant War, i.e. he's basically going to planets, kicking their ass, taking planets in his name, and basically showing them why you do not fuck with the son of the dragon. Adrian, his battlefield commander. Lisa, the medical officer, the one who believes in, do no harm, the embodiment of the doctor's oath. And all the other characters could be something else. Striga could be here because, Striga and Marana decide, fuck this, we're off, or hell, something could have happened. Striga and Marana and the sisters are basically, working with him. Carmilla could be his fucking spy master. Lenore, the diplomat. Striga, the strong woman battlefield warrior. I will say this right now. Striga, best vampire muscle mummy. I'm just saying that right now. And as the war happens, the Asari hears what's going on and tries to put a stop to it. Dracula gives them an ultimatum. Leave us the hell alone, or we will fucking destroy you. The ultimatum, thankfully, is met. I.e., they do, basically fucking cut the galaxy in half. There's now a fucking border between his empire and the rest of the galaxy. The Solarians, being the Solarians, are trying to figure out what the hell these people are. And it isn't until years later that, more or less, a sort of white peace is settled. But, taking inspiration from the other fic, no vampires may touch down on the Citadel. Simply because these fuckers were able to literally rip apart a Turian biotic. These fuckers were able to literally tank their armor. These guys are dangerous, and they don't want that threat on the Citadel. And Dracula, being the most powerful of them, they don't want that. But they will allow humans, and humans in this timeline could revel vampires as the highest form of evolution. Dracula could be seen as a goddamn god. Well, of course, much like the Emperor of Mankind from Text to Speech could basically be like, you guys are fucking idiots, I don't want to be seen as a god, I'm just a man. Oh, god damn it.
He's a man, not a god!
There's your Angry Joe joke out of the way. Moving the hell on! So basically, years go by. Shepard, who is a Dhampir, much like Adrian, is actually the descendant of Adrian. And more or less is seen as basically a knight, if you will. She is the best of his family, and when an attack happens on one of their colonies, from the Geth, mind you, shit goes down. Dracula's pissed, Adrian's pissed, everyone's pissed. They want to know who the hell had the balls to attack one of their colonies, kill their people, spill their blood, and they are on the fucking warpath ready to go to war with whoever the hell did this. The Citadel Council, on the other hand, is trying to prevent that shit. They still remember the casualties from the First Contact War, and the fact that that shit does not need to happen again. They do not need a galaxy-wide war with a species that could literally punch their fist straight through the chest of a fucking Spectre biotic. And believe me, I don't want that. Nobody wants that. Even the Solarians, as much as I love to choke on them and the fact that they're a bunch of frickin' Zeke Isle eugenicists, they don't want that. Even the Turians, the most warrior race, understands that these vampires are not to be trifled with, and a war with them would cost them casualties in the millions, because one vampire was able to take out 3 platoons, and Lord knows how many biotics. These guys are not to be trifled with, and as such, the Citadel is basically doing their best to placate this. They're doing their best to basically appease these people, to make sure that casualties do not happen, that whoever did this does not plunge the galaxy into a never-ending war of blood and death. Oh boy, so Dracula could basically reach a compromise. He wants to send his granddaughter, the princess, a brave warrior, to the Citadel to begin a cooperative investigation between them and the Citadel. This, of course, in the Counselor's eyes, being the first steps to honest peace and to prevent a galactic-wide war. While Saren, someone who survived the conflict and is the reason for the attack in the first place, sees the vampires, and i.e. their slaves, humanity, who worships these evil demonic creatures as gods, needs to be eradicated if the galaxy is to have honest peace. This is the reason why he sided with the Reapers. The Reapers, seeing the vampires as an unknown variable and one they did not account for, which is why the plans for the invasion could actually be pushed back. Instead of the cycle being continued at the 50,000 year mark, could be pushed back more. Because the fact vampires are so long-lived, and the fact of they can hide very easily, they need to accommodate this variable and try and figure out a way how to actually fight these people. All the data they've acquired from their little backdoor entrance into them is sporadic and vague at best, because all information on vampires either is heavily doctored by the vampires themselves or battlefield anecdotals about the First Contact War, or in this case, a absolute slaughter. So, the first couple games could basically follow that. The first game, if Critical was to do this, or anyone wants to do this, the first game could basically be them trying to prevent a galactic-wide war. Shepard, of course, does be seen as a beacon for basically bridging the gap between these two factions. The fact that the vampires have not joined them on the Citadel as an actual council species is because of that fact. Not only that, but the second game with the Elusive Man could actually be Carmilla. Carmilla being someone who is very paranoid about the rest of the galaxy. Someone who is Dracula's spy master. And when attacked by the Collectors, that could spark up the actual, once again, that could basically be the fears of the galaxy being plunged into war. And the Council doing everything they can in the second game to prevent that. That is the main theme this person could do, is that basically everyone wants peace. But peace is just a prelude to another war. And because of this, the Collector threat is basically that threat to galactic peace and stability between two powerful factions. Two powerful galactic factions, mind you, where one has Nightmare Beast that they don't want unleashed on them. When Shepard meets Samara, of course, that could also bring in the fact of a galactic religious view. Samara could see the vampires as the ultimate darkness, or at least in this case, a darkness of what happens when sins are consumed by you, when you are consumed by the sins, and you basically defy the goddess, or in this case, gods, or a higher being, and the sins you collected have converted you into that. She could even basically be, again, there's a lot that can be done with that character, but hell, even Omega, even fucking Arya would know vampires do not need to be fucked with. And if she did anything to upset them, she would be slaughtered. All of Omega would be a dead, desolate rock. And she basically works for Carmilla. Because Carmilla is one who she definitely does not want to fuck with. Well, Dracula will kill her as a public display of what happens to those who defy him. Carmilla would kill you, dump your body, and you would never be found again. And then we get to the third game, the Galactic War. When the threat of the Reapers is finally discovered, Dracula could finally see a bigger threat than what is out there, as such actually being the rallying call for the rest of the galaxy. And while the Citadel Council does not agree or believe the Reapers are coming, in this case, they could actually be pushed into that direction. Hell, Dracula could basically use his hypnotizing sex beam eyes to basically make the counselors see what's actually going to happen. And as such, begin essentially a unified front against the Reapers. Because vampire technology is so much more advanced than theirs, and them relying on Mass Effect technology and the mass relays, he could see why there's a threat. Even going as far as destroying the mass relay to the Sol system, to the Milky Way galaxy, or any other relays leading to their territory, making it harder for the Reapers to actually come to them, and making them easier targets for their massive fleets they've been building up. Even going as far as creating super weapons, a la Gundam. If you haven't seen Mobile Suit Gundam, there were a lot of interesting super weapons in that. I'm going to tell you that right now. Even going as far as to creating a fucking beam weapon that is an entire ship that is literally meant to destroy massive fleets. Originally designed to take on the Citadel Council's fleets, should they turn their guns on them, instead they'd be turning that thing on the Reapers. The battle in the third game would be long and bloody. And with the discovery of the Crucible, they could use all their resources to build it. But Dracula could actually see this as a trap. Could actually see it for its true purpose. And Shepard basically, again, could make the ultimate sacrifice. Shepard sacrificing herself. Either by destroying the Reapers or by converting them. In my mind, though, Dracula could order her to destroy them because, again, the Reapers are a massive threat to the rest of the galaxy. Even if they destroy hundreds of them, thousands of them, there's still more in dark space. As such, I could see them going for the other option of destroying them, which would destroy the relay. And even then, the aftermath would basically be them rebuilding the galaxy, introducing their form of FTL. The Council would probably be dead. The galaxy would be in disarray and would be opened for Dracula to come in and gain control of the entire galaxy. Even opening up to Andromeda space, to expand his ever-growing galactic empire. Again, this is just a bare bones pitch and something I came up with in 2 days. But this is something that could be done. Again, this is just bare bones, and I literally leave it open to you guys in the comments section to tell me what you think. Because Critical Darling is probably going to look at this video and look at the comments section and immediately take your ideas into consideration. And if you want to send this guy messages, I will leave his socials, or at least his Wattpad account, down below for you guys to message him and let him know your ideas. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen. As always, I've been Airsoft Al, and if you guys want to help me out in producing more content like this, or make better content, or even add more studio lighting so you can see me and not have the shadow right down my middle, then consider donating to the PayPal down below. Because it's folks like you that make everything we do here possible, including the backgrounds I have. And, as always, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Airsoft Al, the common man's Airsofter who comes with interesting ideas for a Castlevania X Mass Effect fanfiction idea. And I will see all you lovely, lovely people in the next video. Till next time.